My name is Joyful. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that right now by clicking the red subscribe button. And please watch this video to the end. So today I have with me my friend Lucy. Hi. So Lucy is my longtime friend. We gist partner and everything included. So today I'm just going to be asking Lucy a few questions about being a medical student as an international student, like some of the myths. And I just want to clarify a few things about the whole medical school international student process and this kind of thing. So are you ready to answer our questions today?
Sure.
Okay, so
Let's get it. So basically, guys, what this is, it's a session that goes over the myths that students usually have to face as they prepare for medical school, for especially as an international student. Because I'm international. I'm international going to a med school.
the first question I'm going to ask you, it says, even if you get great schools, it is still difficult to get into any U.S. medical school as an international student.
Okay.
So elaborate on that, mate.
Right.
Tell us.
Definitely that's not true. And the main thing I can say is, as an international student, although there are many difficulties, if you have all it takes, a lot of schools that are capable of accepting international students will interview you and will consider giving you a spot. So basically, do not be discouraged, especially because most schools that accept international students are very competitive schools. But if you have the competition, meaning you have their baseline MCAT scores, some schools is going to be 520s, 525s. You have good research experience, be it in your sophomore or junior year or senior year, whenever. If you have some publications that came out of it, that's even better. I know it's difficult, but that just goes to tell you that you have to prepare, like from your freshman year. If you're trying to get into a US med school, it takes a long time to build all those things that you need to have a competitive application. So if you have a good MCAT score, like a good one, perfect one, if you have a good research experience, your GPA is good, there's no way, in my conviction, that you will not at least get an interview, even if you're international. So the myth is definitely not true, because even though it's more competitive, it's competitive at baseline, but if you become a competitive candidate, then the competition is not as bad as somebody who is not as a competitive candidate, if you see what I mean. So the ball is in your court for the most of it. It's your turn to reach out to research professors at your campus, or if your campus doesn't do research, it's your turn to go find people who can help you with research experience, and then work hard to get your GPA good. Study very hard for the MCAT and do well on it. Whatever it takes for you to get that good MCAT score, it's very important, especially if it's on your first try, because some med schools will filter based on how many times you've taken the exam. And some of them are very transparent in terms of what they expect. So if you go to the website of the medical schools, they will tell you what they're looking for. And if you think you're competitive to that school, then do not give up because of the myths. Because definitely I've seen people who've made it, and I've made it into my own medical school, and I know you can make it if you're interested as an international student. All right, so that's my take on that.
So the next question says, all United States medical schools accept international students?
Yeah, definitely. I think most international students interested in med school have heard this before, just like the first myth. They probably know the answer to this one as well. That's not true. Not all med schools in the United States accept international students, and that's a fact, and there's nothing we can do about it. So if you're international and you want to get into a medical school in the United States, first thing you need to do, even if you're in high school or like freshman or anything, is for you to go look up medical schools who've had a good history, 4 or 5 years of consistently accepting medical international students. And I'll tell you straight up, most of the ones you find are going to be private schools, like for example Yale or Johns Hopkins. Those are the ones that accept more international students compared to public schools for some reason, for several reasons, which is why the competition is really high. Because when you go into a very competitive, like Ivy League, if you will, medical school, you're in competition with both the US residents and citizens that have very high scores, lots of research, and then people of your own category, other international students who also have, who set the bar high for themselves. So the competition mainly occurs because we have limited sports, but that doesn't mean that definitely not all sports, not all schools can have us as students in their medical school. Most medical schools will straight up tell you if they don't accept international students. They will tell you you have to be a US resident or citizen to be able to even apply for the medical school. That's how you know that it's not for you. But other schools who will tell you they accept from every file, I would suggest reducing your list in terms of not wasting much money, if you will, to, I don't know how many people, the average is usually 50 or 60 applications for medical school, maybe more, but find those schools that have had 5 to 6 years of consistently accepting a certain percentage of international students. It's not going to be a lot, but you have to be content with it. But if they do have a history of accepting medical students who are international, then that's a good place for you to start, okay? And I can tell you from when I was looking up these medical schools, I think at least I had 20 medical schools in my that was separated in terms of high reach, medium reach, and the ones that I could easily get into, I guess. So there is medical schools out there, but definitely not all of them. I would say maybe like at most 50% of the total medical schools in the US, that's just a broad approximation, would accept international students. It's up to you to go find out which ones are a good fit for you based on your MCATs, based on your research, based on your GPA, and based on how you perform in an interview, how you see yourself there, just Googling the school to see if you would like the place and all those things. Because believe me, in the interview, they'll probably get a sense of whether or not you're interested based on how much you have to tell them about their school, if you will. So, yeah.
And like your genuine answer. They could tell if you actually like a good fit.
Yeah. Most of the men, I don't know how they do it, but they can tell once they talk to you. If you didn't do as much research on the school, they will know. If you came there just for one reason or another, out of any interest, they will know. So again, be genuine, be yourself, and you will be surprised how far you can go when you put in the work. Even though there's some barriers in terms of your status as an international student, it's not an excuse to not keep pushing if you really have the goal, the drive to do so.
And on the interview, do they ask you if you're an international student?
Well, they should know. Because on the AMCAS, I believe, the application through which students in the US, the system through which they go to apply for medical schools, it's one MCAS application that goes to every medical school in the US. And then some of them will send you a secondary application. That's the first filter, right? So you apply on a certain day, all of your application files go to all medical schools that you choose, and then they get your application. They can filter from day one based on the score, based on everything like that, and then they select a few students to send a supplementary application, right? Out of 1,000 students who apply to, let's say, Yale, they might send a supplementary to only 50 because, again, they only have so many spots. I don't know how many students they usually take, but once they do that, you fill out the supplementary. That's more fees, but you have to pay. You have to do what you gotta do.
Mm-hmm.
And after the supplementary, they review that and then they send you an interview. So the process is long, but it's definitely doable.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
And I want to ask concerning the public school. Most public school not accepting medical students. Is it because of government funds?
Well, personally, I might have an approximated answer to that. That's obviously my opinion. It might be true. But I think it's because most of them are government funds, like you said, and so government funds are probably allotted to people of a certain category of the U.S. citizens and residents first. Doesn't mean that they won't accept internationals, but most schools that are government funded have a certain number of students from each status that they must accept. Just like they want to promote diversity in race, for example, they might say we will, in our effective admissions, we will get competitive students. Hopefully, 25% of them are from this status, the other ones are from that, just to diversify the whole thing. For international students, hey, we are, I guess, foreigners to this country. That's a fact. So there's only so much that might be allotted to our case, to our us being admitted into a medical school. But that's just how it has to go. Same as if you were in your country and you wanted to go to a medical school in that country, they will first of all admit more of their citizens and then consider the foreigners later on. So that sounds, I guess, fair to the citizens of the country. But again, if you stand out, if you are performance,
work hard,
there's no reason why you wouldn't at least get an interview. And again, the bar is set high. Working hard is working hard across the board, right? Not stopping, doing good research, hopefully having a publication, doing well on your NCAT. There's so many things that can go wrong. You can have some testing anxiety and then your score is not as well. There's just so many things, but then again, keep up the faith. And if you have a drive to really do it, you move ahead even though you have these roadblocks. So do not feel like you cannot do it. It's not over until it's over, right? Until you get that rejection letter or whatever, God forbid. But you're not allowed to give up. You're not allowed to give up, especially if you really have a substantial barrier that you have to overcome. We have to be stronger than that.
Yeah, and you cannot compare yourself with the citizens. Like in terms of like your portfolio, and you cannot be like, oh, because I'm 3.5 GP, I'm okay. So you have to do better because like you said, your competition is like very high up there.
And I was going to say, like, the competition has to come from yourself. You have to tell yourself you're trying to out-compete yourself. So let's say first semester, freshman year, you get a 3.5 GPA. That's your baseline. Your next semester, you're competing with yourself, so you're trying to get a 3.6. And if you get that, third semester, you're still competing with yourself, trying to get up to the highest level. And when you get to 4.0, guess what? There's still more competition. You still want to be maintaining that 4.0 and not falling back. You're not comparing yourself to anybody else who has other GPAs. You're saying, how can I get myself better? Because sometimes these medical schools also look for an improvement, a trend of improvement. You might not have had 4.0 GPA from day one. You might even have had to take the MCAT twice. But if you ended up getting that 520 or that, that very good score, then they see that you worked your way up. And that's in one of the things medicine is about improving. We are always going to learn new things in medical science. That's a fact. So the more you can show them that you're labor, you're open to learn, you are available to you're just malleable, you know what I mean? You can easily switch yourself and adapt to new situations while showing progress. I think you have a good shot, even if you're an international medical student. Considering for sure that not all medical schools would give you a spot. So go find out which ones before you start doing your research on that specific school, okay?
Yeah.
That lightens your load a little bit. That makes you shrink your list from like 1,000 med schools to like 100 that you can focus on, and maybe less, to find out that you're a perfect fit for them before you submit your application.
But when you say they should start looking at those schools from like let's say from freshman year, like shrinking everything so they can like be working towards those schools, specifically for those schools. When you say like start, like don't even start like junior year, start like freshman year.
Yeah, it's never too early to work on, your medical application in one way or another. Of course, the formal process of submitting letters of recommendations and all those things come during the season of application, but you can prepare much earlier than that by researching the programs you would possibly be a fit for, by looking up what med schools. Again, first thing, I would advise, my first advice to any student who wants to go to med school in the US, whether international or not, find out which school you might end up seeing yourself in. Maybe you live in, I don't know, Maryland, and then you just like University of Maryland, you're closer there, so you want to stay home. Well, you Google them, their medical school and say, okay, what is it they need over the past few years? What type of students have they accepted? And you're going to see that because they update their pages most of the time with the incoming medical students and outgoing and like, where they came from, what type of medical students, were they international, were they residents or not. Most schools have those tables on their websites. So if you do the work, the closer you get to applying, the more you feel prepared. But if you just start working on it in like senior year, again, senior year, there's way too much you're trying to do. Maybe you're trying to finish up certain courses and at the same time trying to get that publication in for research. And at the same time, you have to take your MCATs and at the same time, you have to apply for medical school and all whatnot. It becomes very cumbersome. So the earlier you prepare, the better, even if you're not international. But it becomes even more important for an international student because you have a whole lot more to do compared to somebody else who's already a citizen, because they can apply to 2,000 programs and still have, believe they have a shot in an interview. But as an international, like you said, you only have a few select programs, medical schools that obviously will accept international students. So do the work. It's never easy, but you should not give up.
Yes.
Yeah.
If she can do it, you can do it, like she said.
Thank you.
The third question says, as an international student, there won't be a source of financial assistance in medical school.
Okay. Well, yeah, so a lot of people, even not just medical school, but other university programs, they would think that because you're international, the financial burden is all on you or your family or something like that, that there's no scholarship out there for international students. And that's something that even when I was in undergraduate, it kind of discouraged me at the beginning because I had the feeling that everything had to be taken care of by myself and my family. Obviously, my family was very supportive, which was nice, but obviously I wasn't just limited to them as a source of, scholarships or money, I got a few scholarships when I actually found out what I needed to do, what programs, give scholarships to students of what category. It all goes down to doing the research. It can be as simple as asking to your teacher, your college campus teacher, or to anybody, even upon admission to the campus, what are the financial sources available for students in this school? And they will tell you, okay, you can do financial aid. I don't know what they call it, usually the application for that. But obviously, as an international student, you're not eligible for that. But there are a few scholarship awards that usually previous students who have graduated from the university would give money to the university to help students, and then they will post it on like the school website and be like, okay, students who have this category, this GPA, this, that, all you need to do is write a letter of why you think the scholarship would be good for you, and then prove that maybe you have some financial needs. Some places will tell you that, some places will just ask you for the letter. Do your best, just write them out and do not be discouraged even if they say no to you this semester. Maybe next semester they will, give it to you. So personal experience, like I said, I went to my college in Maryland and I got like a lot of funding from the scholarships, and all I had to do to get that was to ask when I got admitted, because I transferred from community college. I asked them, so what financial resources do you have for different type of students, especially for international students like me? And they told me what they had, and I tried to look which ones I could be competitive for, given my GPA, given everything else. And I wrote my letter and I got an award. I think it was broken over for like every semester they gave me a certain amount until I finished my undergraduate. So there is stuff available, there is some money available, although it's not 80% of it, most of it you have to, your family has to be able to provide for you as an international student. But there is a few, and the more you search, the more you actually get more money, basically. Because if I didn't do that crazy much research, so I only got so much, assistance. If I went in more and like even Googled scholarship available for college students or something, maybe I would have found more, and maybe 50% of my school, my tuition could have been paid for from scholarships from elsewhere, because you're international doesn't preclude you from having all the scholarships that there is out there. Another experience when I got into medical school my first semester, well, this one was a little unique because they consider every applicant
Yes.
entry for this scholarship. But again, doing things at the right time, applying early, and all those things, those are the factors that I was told got me a scholarship for a whole semester. My first semester tuition in medical school was paid for by the university because I had a good GPA, and I submitted my application very early. As soon as I made sure all my applications went in at the same time. So as I was applying to US medical schools, I chose one Caribbean medical school and I applied to them at the same time that I applied for every other school. And they were very, I was kind of early in my process, and most schools appreciated that. And the school I got admitted in, they told me, because you applied, you're one of the early applicants, you had good scores, you had a good GPA. At least for their school, it was, my MCAT score was good and everything. So they gave me my whole tuition, and I didn't even know I was qualified for a scholarship. But even when I got there, I asked, okay, thank you for this. Are there others over the course of the medical school that students can qualify for, and you work on it? So that's what I'm trying to do. I can always reach out and be like, okay, what's going on? Another way you can get money is through working, right? Like, if as a student, if you're international in a school, in a US-based school, you get an F1 visa, and with that F1 visa, you're allowed to work on campus. You cannot work outside, so like doing another job that is not related to your major. Exactly. So while you're on campus, do your tutoring. Not only does it help with your resume, but it also gives you more experience. Exactly. It also gives you more money. So I got my funding from mostly from my parents, but also from being a teaching assistant, being a tutor. That's my personal money, so I can use it the way I want. If you want to do vacations, if you have time, you can tap into that rather than not bothering, but asking more of from your parents when they're already paying your school. It's a lot of ways that you can have some type of financial assistance, even though you're international in the US, which is what I like about this country.
Yes.
So just do the work. Yeah.
You just have to ask questions, do the work, but there's opportunities given.
There is so many. There's so many. It's as simple as asking an official in your school, what does it take to get this? That's all. And if they don't know, they will refer you to somebody else who knows. And next thing you know, you are getting what you want, be it an admission to a school or money for something. You have to just do things right. If you never ask, you will never know. That's why if you're shy, you have to work on it. I know it's difficult, but to succeed as an international student in the US, you have to speak up. Yep. Yeah, you cannot be quiet. Yourself and tell them what you need, and you never know where the opportunities come from again. So it's doable. I'm still in the process. I'm not done yet, obviously. But when the going gets tough, only the tough get going. That's all. And the tough are those who put in the work day in, day out, who are not shy enough to not ask questions, so who are very vocal and ask people what they need and when they need it, and those who just are genuine with themselves and with others. And again, hard work is all it takes. Okay?
And Lucy, you're a third year medical student, right?
Yeah, right now I'm third year. I'm still working on my clinical rotations, so hopefully next year, but COVID is doing a lot of things, so we'll see, but I should be done soon.
Okay, so we have come to the end of this video, guys. I hope this topic helped you guys. I hope you learned a lot from Lucy in this video. And you can always leave your questions in the comment section, and I will make her go there and answer your questions. And so
I'll be happy to help.
Yes, Lucy likes to help.
A lot, actually. I did so much tutoring when I was in my undergraduate school. Even when I was in med school, I did tutoring for my first few semesters. Obviously, now I'm in clinical, so I still get help too. And not only do I help people, but I also get help when I need it. So I'm very open to help anybody with specific questions or just general my experience or something like that. I can relate it to you. Remember, everybody's experience is different. So yours and mine will be completely different, but I can only give you what I did in my experience to make it better. so that if you go through the same challenges, which most of the time you will, you know how to, at least you have an idea on how to handle them, the challenges, the issues, and all whatnot. So, yeah, I was happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me to it.
Thank you for coming to my channel, Lucy.
Yeah.
It was nice having you here.
Thank
So
you.
please don't forget to like this video, share this video, subscribe
Comment
to the
down
channel,
below.
comment down below like I said, and we'll see you in the next video.
Yeah.